Hi, I'm Gina Candelario with Cooper Sotheby's International Realty. Most people think San Antonio began at the Alamo, but that's the version we all grew up hearing. But the truth is, the story of this city starts right here at the San Antonio Springs inside Brackenridge Park. Long before there was a city, before there were streets, before there was even a concept of Texas as we know it today, this area was home of fresh flowing water. These springs are the headwaters of the San Antonio River, and for thousands of years, they made this land livable. Indigenous peoples, including the Papaya, lived in the region because of these waters, in a place where much of the surrounding land could be dry and unpredictable. This was stability. This was life. When Spanish explorers arrived in the late 1600s and early 1700s, they didn't randomly choose San Antonio as a place to settle. They followed the same logic people always have: go where the water is. In 1718, when the Mission San Antonio de Valero was established, along with the Presidio San Antonio de Bear, it was because of this exact resource. These springs fed the early community, and more importantly, they allowed for agriculture. From these waters came out one of the most important and often overlooked systems in San Antonio history, the acequias. These were hand-dug irrigation canals built by the Spanish settlers and indigenous labor. They carried water from river and springs out into farmland and early settlements. Without the acequias, there would have been no crops, no sustainability, and ultimately no reason for a permanent settlement here. So when we think about San Antonio's beginnings, it's not just missions and military outposts, it's infrastructure, it's planning, and it all traces back to this natural source of water. Over time, as the city grew, the springs continued to play a role. They fed the San Antonio River, which became both a lifeline and at times a challenge for the city. Flooding was a real issue for many years, shaping how San Antonio developed and how it eventually engineered solutions to control the river's flow. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, this area had transformed again. What had once been a survival resource became a place of recreation and gathering. Brackenridge Park, named after George Washington Brackenridge, was developed as a public space for the city. People came here not because they needed the water to live, but because they wanted to enjoy it. And that's an interesting shift when you think about it. What begins as a necessity often becomes a lifestyle. Today, most people who visit Brackenridge Park may not realize they're standing in the literal birthplace of the city. They might walk the trails, enjoy the shade, maybe visit the nearby San Antonio Zoo, and never stop to think about why this place exists in the first place. But if you pause for a moment and really consider it, everything about San Antonio, its neighborhoods, its culture, its growth, can be traced back to the decision to settle near the river. It's easy to focus on landmarks we're told are important. The Alamo, the Riverwalk, the missions, and those places absolutely matter. But they came after. They were built because this was already a place where people could survive and build a life. And that's what makes San Antonio Springs so meaningful. It's not dramatic, it's not crowded with tourists, it doesn't demand attention, but it quietly represents the reason all of this exists. In real estate, we talk a lot about location, why people choose one area over another, why certain neighborhoods develop the way they do. And while today those decisions are influenced by schools, amenities, and lifestyles, The original decision was much simpler: water. That was the first location decision in San Antonio. And standing here, you're looking at the exact place that made that decision possible. So the next time you think about San Antonio, whether you've lived here your whole life or you're just getting to know it, it's worth remembering that the story doesn't begin with what was built. It begins with what was already here. And in this case, it begins right here at the San Antonio Springs. I appreciate you watching. I will see you next time.